there's a lot of things that people disagree about in Magic the Gathering. For example, you want to play Farewell in Armageddon, and I want to punch you in the face. But if there's one thing that I'm confident that most Magic players will agree on, is that outside of merfolk, elves, and goblins, dragons are probably the most popular creature type. Some people want to slay dragons, some people want to train dragons, some people want to f dragons.
You're just reeking of feminine beauty.
But us Magic players, we want to play dragons. And boy oh boy, when I was looking for a dragon commander, I just could not commit. I didn't want to play the big Timmy dragons like the Dragon and miirym and Scion and whatnot. I felt like when you sit down with the Dragon at your table, all of a sudden, all three of your opponents have player removal. So I tried them all. I tried Ganix, I tried Rivaz, I tried Furkrag, I tried Karthus. I really was building commander decks for all of these dragons, and I just wasn't happy. I just could not find a dragon that I wanted to fuck. I mean play. So being discouraged, I decided to take a break and go look at some other color combinations for other decks and other archetypes just to do something else in the meantime. And lo and behold, as I'm scrolling through the Boros listing of commanders, I think I found him. I've come across the greatest dragon commander of all time. This is a completely subjective statement. Drum roll, please. I don't know how long the drum roll sound effect is, so I'm just holding it. Velomachus Lorehold. Velomachus Lorehold is a 5/5 Elder Dragon commander that costs 7 mana, 5 colors, a red, and a white. And this motherfucker has a high ground, he hits you fast, and he doesn't flinch when you hit him back. Velomachus also says when he attacks, you can look at the top 7 cards of your library and cast any instant or sorcery with converted mana costs less than his current power for free. So by default, because he's a 5/5, you can cast instant and sorcery spells with 5 mana or less for free. Now, I understand why people don't consider him as a dragon commander and consider him as a spell slinging commander because he cares about instants and sorceries, not dragons. But where could there be a middle ground? Are there any instants or sorceries that care about dragons? Dragon's Approach is a 3 mana sorcery, a red and 2 colorless, that says you can deal 3 damage to each opponent, and if you have 4 Dragon Approaches in your graveyard at the time of casting this Dragon's Approach, you can exile all 5 of them and grab a dragon from your deck and put it onto the battlefield. Although, hold on, am I fucking stupid? You can only have 1 copy of a card in your commander deck at a time, so how am I supposed to get 5 Dragon Approaches? Hold on, let me read this real quick. Did I read this wrong? Hold on, let me pull out my glasses. I do actually wear glasses, by the way, believe it or not. Let me, hold on, let me see here. A deck can have any number of cards named Dragon's Approach. So not only am I playing Dragon's Approach, but I'm also playing Dragon's Approach, 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 and Dragon's Approach. I am playing 24 copies of Dragon's Approach, and before some of you say that 24 is not divisible by 5, if your game is still going by the time you've casted all 24 Dragon's Approaches, then some of your opponents have probably already died of old age, and I don't know why this game is going on any longer. With that being said, all in all, Dragon's Approach kinda sucks as a card, so let's talk about the pieces to make it a better card. Locket of Yesterdays is a 1 mana artifact that makes spells cost less mana for each copy of that spell in your graveyard. Obviously, Velomachus doesn't care about the mana cost of the cards, but when you open up your hand for the game, you're gonna have like 4 or 5 Dragon's Approaches, and you're gonna need to cast them eventually, or discard them to one of the many draw cards, discard card spells that we have in the deck, but you're gonna want Locket of Yesterdays so that you can just start pumping out Dragon Approaches for 1 red mana at a time as the game continues. We also have probably one of these stupidest fucking cards ever printed, Thrumming Stone. Thrumming Stone says spells you cast have ripple 4, so every time you cast a spell, you reveal the top 4 cards of your library, and if there's a spell with the same name as the one that you just cast, you get to then cast that one and do it again. And it'll just keep going until you reveal 4 cards that don't have the same card name. But sometimes it's reveal 4, cast Dragon's Approach. 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 So now you have 7 Dragon Approaches on the stack. You're going to be dealing 21 damage to everybody, unless you have Sulfum and Fire Emancipation on the field to increase that damage any further. There's actually a decent chunk of cards that say you can have any number of this card in your deck, and Thrumming Stone is in all of them, obviously. And not only do you have Thrumming Stone making you do lines of coke off the top of your deck, we also have Harness's Storm and Pyromancer Ascension. If either of these are on the field and you have a Dragon Approach in your graveyard and you cast a Dragon Approach, both these cards will allow you to either cast or make copies of Dragon Approach, so you're basically getting 2 Dragon Approaches for every Dragon Approach. And you better beware, because the dragons are approaching. It's very easy to get 4 Dragon Approaches in your graveyard because all of the card draw spells in this deck have us discard cards from our hand. Now, I didn't put dragons in the deck that I want to fuck. Sorry, Laughless. I put dragons in a deck that provide utility as the game goes on. Goldspan Dragon, Ancient Copper Dragon, Cavern Horde Dragon, all those dragons make you a bunch of treasure. Bone Horde Dragosaur is just general card advantage on the beginning of your upkeep. Nullspine Dragon will have you discard your hand and draw cards equal to the amount of damage you've done to a target opponent. Then you have Dragon Mage, which just wheels people, and that's hilarious. Man, I wish Niv Mizzet was in Boros. Scourger of the Throne looks at the opponent with the highest life total and says, fuck you, and then lets you attack twice so you can get multiple Velomachus triggers. And Hellkite Courser will help you pull Velomachus out of the command zone if you need to. Maybe you got lucky of yesterday's on turn 1, and you've casted 5 Dragon Approaches on like turn 4, you can grab Hellkite, get Velomachus out, and start doing that early. Or the people at your table don't think Dragon Approach is funny, and so they start beating your ass, and now Velomachus costs 11 mana. Hellkite Courser can help you get him out for a turn without having to worry about paying 11 mana. Now, sometimes you just draw your dragons and now they're in your hand and you have to cast them like normal spells. See, I'm a brewer for casual commander, so I'm sophisticated in my card choice, okay? My decks are statistically power level 7. I only use unique, niche, cool under the radar cards that you've never even heard about. I do my digging, I do my research, I know what Magic's put in the past for really cool effects that you've never even seen before. So yes, I am playing land tax in Archaeomancer's map, okay? Thank you very much. Not only am I playing the 2 dragon simps that make dragons cost less, but we're also playing the Heb of the Eternal because god damn. You swing with Velomachus, get a Dragon's Approach, which deals 3 damage to each of your opponents, totaling 9 damage, and then Velomachus hits for 5. That's 14 red mana post-combat main phase. Now, even though Dragon Approaches take up a 5th of the deck list, sometimes you hit with Velomachus and wow, that's 7 not Dragon Approaches. So what do you do in a boxing match when you swing and miss? Well, you fucking swing again. We have 3 extra combat spells in this deck that all cost 5 mana or less, and the 3 extra combat spells I chose all have abilities to play them again. One of them has Retrace, one of them has Rebound, one of them has Flashback. You'll be giving your opponents the old 1-2 twice, or thrice, or thrice, fifth ice? 6th ice. And of course, to wrap everything up, we have a few other utility instant sorceries in the deck, like Taunt of the Rampart, which just makes everybody fucking fight each other and nobody can block. It's pretty chaotic and it's pretty hilarious if everybody has a bunch of creatures. Outside of that, you just have your typical Boros lands, and that's what I consider to be the best dragon commander in Magic the Gathering. This is a completely subjective statement. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please head on down and press subscribe button and go into the comments and let me know what deck tech you want to see next. And while you're down there, the deck list will be in description below so you can check out the deck for yourself. And if you go to my Moxville page, I have all of my current decks I have built. I did do the 32 deck commander challenge, which I'm going to be doing a video on, but you can see all those decks in that Moxville listing. And again, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.